We did not learn quickly or easily that all men are created equal, one Lincoln scholar has observed. No, we did not learn those words quickly or easily. We are still struggling with them, in fact, as Lincoln did for a whole lifetime. From the time he read Weems's little book until the day he was martyred, he thought and planned and prayed to make the words of the Declaration a way of life. Equality and opportunity for all, but truly for all. Lincoln came to believe that the great promise of the Founding Fathers was one that had only begun to be realized with the Founding Fathers themselves. He understood that from the beginning it was a promise that would have to be fulfilled in degrees. Its embrace would have to be widened over the years, step by step, sometimes painfully, until finally it included everyone. That was his dream, that was his vision, and that was his mission. And with it, he defined for himself and for us the soul of our unique experiment in government, the belief that the promise of the Declaration of Independence, the promise of equality and opportunity, cannot be considered kept until it includes everyone. And for him, that was the unifying principle of our democracy. Without it, we had no nation worth fighting for. And with it, we had no limit to the good that we might achieve. He spent the rest of his life trying to give the principle meaning. He consumed himself doing it. He reaffirmed Jefferson's preference for the human interest and the human right. The principles of Jefferson, he said, are the definitions and axioms of free society. But Lincoln extended those instincts to new expressions of equality. And always he searched for ways to bring within the embrace of the new freedom, the new opportunity, all who had become Americans. Deeply, indeed reverently grateful for the opportunity afforded him, he was pained by the idea that it should be denied others or limited. He believed that the human right was more than just the right to exist, to live free from oppression. He believed it included the right to achieve, to thrive, so he reached out for what he called the penniless beginner. He thought it the American promise that every poor man should be given his chance. He saw what others would or could not see, the immensity of the fundamental ideas of freedom and self-determination that made his young nation such a radically new adventure in government. But he was not intimidated by that immensity. He was willing to use the ideas as well as to admire them, to mold them so as to apply them to new circumstances, to wield them as instruments of justice and not just echoes of it. And some in his time said government should do no more than protect its people from insurrection and foreign invasion and spend the rest of its time dispassionately observing the way its people played out the cards that fate had dealt them. He scorned that view. He called it a do-nothing abdication of responsibility by government.